Hello, people. So, I'm going to talk about the Edward Snowden interview on NBC. But before that, real quickly, let me say that uh, watched a video, a 2-hour video by Heitler today, 2 hour and some 15 minutes or something. That's the kind of thing I really, really appreciate. I'd like to say I enjoyed it, because I did enjoy it. But it was a very brave video. I think it's more appropriate to say that I really appreciated it. And I would like to vouch for Hythloday being one of the most honest people that I know of in vlogging and on YouTube. The other thing is still not drinking, and I went camping and canoeing for what was that, Memorial Day weekend, and I was offered something to drink a couple times, and because other people were drinking, and I had no desire. It really saved me a lot of energy not worrying about that. So it's a personal thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't drink. As a matter of fact, I think I might make a video about the positive side of drinking and alcohol as an intoxicant. Loving irony the way that I do. I also had the weirdest lucid nightmare the last night of camping, where I was actually trapped in my dream, and I came to know I was dreaming, but when I'd leave one, I'd think I was, now awake, not waking up, but I'd have the dream would shift to another dream, and then it would take me a while to realize I was dreaming again, and I took a lot of approaches to it in the dream, and normally I could just wake myself up in a situation like that and restabilize in reality, But in this case, it got terrifying. It seemed like hours and just really terrible things. And I had a weird feeling that a lot of these dreams were familiar and that I'd had them before. And in the end, I was just, in the end, I called to my wife, or tried to, and say, and I heard her answer, what is it? But it wasn't really her. And I'm like, wake me up, tickle me, do something, wake me up. And in the end, I just materialized into where I really was, on the air mattress in the tent, cuddling my wife, and it was, well, it felt very good in the end. I felt like I passed a lot of anxiety at that point. So I figured the way that I would discuss Edward Snowden, I watched the interview and then Kerry's statement on NBC as well. And I figured the way to go through it that would be easiest for me is just to read the blurb they had on NBC with the video, the short article, and then interject my comments on what they had to say. Edward Snowden, in an exclusive interview with nightly news anchor Brian Williams, blamed the State Department for stranding him in Russia, saying he, quote, never intended to wind up there. Quote, I personally am surprised that I ended up here, Snowden said in the interview, an excerpt which aired on today on Wednesday morning. Snowden's comments about his new home came in an extended, wide-ranging interview with Williams, his first with the U.S. television network. Airs Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. Quote, the reality is I never intended to end up in Russia. He said, I had a flight booked to Cuba, onwards to Latin America, and I was stopped because the United States government decided to revoke my passport and trap me in Moscow airport. So when people ask you, why are you in Russia, I say, please ask the State Department. Secretary of State John Kerry hit back in a live interview on Today. For a supposedly smart guy, that's a pretty dumb answer, frankly, Kerry said. If Mr. Snowden wants to come back to the United States today, we'll have him on a flight today. He also said, and they don't quote him, I don't think, that, look, he was trying to get to Cuba. What does that say? No, he said he was trying to get to Latin America via Cuba. Totally different, Mr. Liar, Kerry, anti-Vietnam protester, hypocrite. Never have liked Kerry. But anyway, the quote continues, quote of Kerry, we'd be delighted for him to come back. Oh, I bet you would. He should come back. That's what a patriot would do. A patriot would not run away and look for refuge in Russia or Cuba or some other country. A patriot would stand up in the United States and make his case to the American people, Kerry added. Quote, He could come home, but he's a fugitive from justice, which is why he's not being permitted to fly around the world, he said. They also don't quote him in that. We revoked it when he was still in Hong Kong. How do you get to Russia? But anyway, asked whether he had changed his mind about the nature of Snowden's actions, Kerry said Snowden, quote, stole information and, quote, did great damage to the United States. Quote, the fact is, if he cares so much about America and he believes in America, he should trust the American system of justice. Oh, is that right? Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Kerry. We don't trust the American system of justice anymore. And two, you and your Republican predecessors and compatriots have made it perfectly clear that you don't even intend to apply the system of American justice to anybody deemed an enemy, American citizen or not. So, even if he had faith in the American justice system, he also knows that that is not going to be applied to him, is it? You just want it both ways, don't you? And you're the worst kind of war criminals, Mr. Kerry. You protested the Vietnam War through probably somebody else's medals over the wall, made a big political show of it, and are supposedly on the side of a responsible America. So your war crimes are worse than Donald Rumsfeld's and Dick Cheney's, who at least had the indecency to say what they actually believed about killing and torturing. Unlike you, you fork-tongued liar. Quote, to be hiding in Russia, an authoritarian country, and to have just admitted he was really just trying to get to Cuba, what does that tell you, he added. Oh, they did quote that part. I think he's confused. I think it's very sad. What is there to say that I didn't just say a couple seconds ago? An interview with Chuck Todd on MSNBC, Kerry called Snowden a, quote, coward and a, quote, traitor. Words familiar to Mr. Kerry as having been levied against him for having the gall to not support the troops in Vietnam. Because isn't that what that means in America? Supporting the troops means fighting any old stupid war, whether you believe in it or not, and then ignoring them when they come home. See also VA scandal, which is no news to anybody that pays attention. No news to anybody that has a veteran in their family, especially a Vietnam or later vet. He said Snowden's leaks had concrete effects that he'd rather not mention. What a jerk. What he's done is exposed for terrorists a lot of mechanisms which now affect operational security of those terrorists and make it harder for the United States to break apart, harder to protect our nation, he said. Harder to spy on our own citizens, harder to spy on Merkel. Yeah, because if terrorists know that we're spying on the German Chancellor, why golly, that changes everything, doesn't it? What a filthy liar that dude is. Kerry was also asked about Snowden's exclusive NBC News interview while appearing on CBS. Quote, he should man up and come back to the United States, the Secretary of State said. And with that, let's just ask, what is the real difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, except maybe the Republicans are a little more honest about their macho manly obsession that they have for people like Putin. In the sit-down, Snowden also fought back against critics who dismissed him as a low-level hacker, saying he was trained as a spy, quote, and offered technical expertise to high levels of government. Yeah, evidently the reason he didn't go to high school is because he signed up after the 9/11 attack, right? And he got trained and basically collegiate level, spy kind of training in the military, right? And also, for everybody that's like, well, he should have gone through proper channels. These are now the proper channels. This is the proper way now in our current corrupt situation. That's right. I said it, corrupt. For those of you who said, don't ever say corrupt. For our current corrupt, this is the proper way. But moreover, evidently he did contact federal attorney generals and people like this and claim that the NSA is in possession of those documents and emails from him, trying to address this from within the system. But you see, we don't trust the American system of justice, Mr. Kerry, and we also know that you and Obama, just like Bush and Cheney, and Rumsfeld have no intention of allowing the American justice system to be employed against our enemies. You're the ones that don't believe in our justice system. You don't believe our justice system is capable of punishing guilty people. And so you've taken it upon yourself to be extrajudicial in your killing and punishment, and very secretive as well with your secret government. So screw you, Mr. Kerry. And congratulations, Mr. Snowden.